Hello, and welcome to another episode of Adventures in Messaging. I'm Emma Stratton, and today I'm joined by Jarod Greene, VP of Product and Customer Marketing at Highspot. Hello.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm good. It is so
Good.
good to have you here today. I think congratulations are in order because I know that you have just gone through a whole refresh of positioning and messaging at Highspot, and it's live and it's landed
Mhm.
and it's good. So
Yeah,
congrats. Tell me about that.
thank you. No, it feels good. And as you know, and the audience knows, you're never done with messaging, right? It's this live and breathe and ever evolving thing. But we kind of got to a place where just for this one moment in time, we could pin it down and then use it to get our content, get our story out to the world at scale. And so we did it through a pretty big launch just a few weeks ago and feel really good. And now we got to keep doing it. We've earned our next challenge. And so the mission is to keep evolving as the product evolves, as the market evolves, as our customer use cases evolve. And so just continuing to do it again. But yeah, getting it down on paper one good time. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, yes, it's always in flux and evolving, but there is that window where you've pinned everything down,
Yeah.
everyone agrees, and you can savor that moment, even if it's just, a month, a
Yeah.
few
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah. Especially in SaaS. Absolutely. Even if it's just a month.
So, so it went well. And I'd love to talk about kind of how that went. How did it go for you? Did you come up against any challenges? Tell me kind of a bit about the process.
Yeah, totally. So it's funny. I say like it's third time's a charm. So
Okay.
I've been down this path a few times at a few companies where you as a product marketer own the positioning and the messaging, and you're essentially telling the market what you do, how you do it, how it's different, why people should care. And obviously, everyone in your company has a point of view on how those questions get answered. It can be particularly challenging if it's a founder. It can be particularly challenging if it's the head of sales who's done that pitch more than you. It can be
Yes.
challenging when it's customer success who has a point of view on, yep, we've done that pitch, but you know what? When I show up in front of the customer, I have to talk about it this way. It's very hard to get people revolved or just kind of aligned around your nomenclature and your cadence. And so some of the things that I've learned is to say, let's just look at it from the outside in. Like we have a point of view. What do our customers think? What do our customers actually say when we're not around? What are the words they use? If they had to describe what we do, how we do it, how it's different, why we should care, does it sound like the way we would say it? And if it's not, if there's a violent delta, you got some work to do. And I think what I've learned over the time is to say, like, if you start with the customer and you can sort of aggregate and collect enough data to back the changes you're trying to drive, it's a little easier to win some of the debates you have, right? So customers don't use this word. Well, actually, they do. Customers don't say it the way, just they do. It's right here. We have the luxury of having a very vocal and vibrant customer base who leaves that trail of goodness on third-party review sites. And so they write often to G2 Crowd. That's what I can look at and say, that's how they talk about our product. You know, it's what you don't see, a ton of technical jargon, right? A ton of words that people don't understand. You absolutely see like how they explain what we do, how it's different, how it creates value to their peers. Talk to them directly. You can talk to customers directly, which has been a great lever. It's just starting there as opposed to starting from the product side, which I know from a product marketer can sound different, but it is absolutely the case. How do people ascertain the value of what you sell? And then work to kind of codify that message in a way that makes sense in a really clear and cogent way. But it took me 3 goes to figure it out. That's a much more fluid path to the end of the journey.
Right, rather than going inside out, kind of wrangling with internal viewpoints and trying to
Totally.
reach consensus. And I mean,
Totally.
you could be trapped there for infinity.
You'll never be done. And I think most product marketers, it's like, hey, start with the product, be a product expert. And so what do? You dig into the product, you dig into the use cases, you get your hands on the product. You want to know every nuance of what the product does, because if someone's questioning your technical expertise, you'll show them, right? And your ability to conduct a demo and use all those words, that's great. That's awesome. You're going to have to be able to do that. But you have people in your business who do that already. You
Right.
have product managers, you have solution engineers, you have people who have done that for a long time. What you don't have often are people who can tell you the value of those things.
Right.
So you'll have product experts, but you don't have product value experts. And I think that was the lesson of saying, you know what, like I probably will never be as deep in product as an engineer. I probably will never be as deep in the product as someone who works on our customer success team and knows every nuance about it. But that's not my job. My job is to communicate the value of those things. And that's always changing because products change and use cases change and competitors change and the way customers solve those problems change. So I'll just kind of hedge my bet on staying on top of the way that they ascertain value and doing something unique for the business.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm totally with you on that about starting, with the customer and how they perceive it, how they talk about it. I love creeping on review sites. Like I do so much of that. I mean, it's such a gold mine. You will see people will describe things repeatedly the same way.
Exactly.
And I know one time I remember bringing it to a client and said, "Oh, here I use this word," and they're like, "Oh, I don't like that word." I'm like, "I don't either, but this is what customers are saying, so
Yeah.
maybe we should think about using it."
Yeah. Well, it's not about us, right? Like it's not about us. It's not about the words that we like or the phrases we use. And I think one of the things that, you think a lot about is like, yeah, when you see those repetitive words, you start to run into themes. And when you see those themes, you recognize them as like these vectors of differentiation. And so
Mm,
if you say like, okay, they say these words and they don't say these words about our competitor, I thought we were different because we had feature whiz bang. And I thought feature whiz bang was the thing that won all these deals. And you actually go out and we implemented, just to talk a little bit about our process, starting from the customer in. The
okay.
first investment I made when I got to Highspot was in win-loss analysis.
Okay.
Very first investment, very first, like,
Yep.
hey, I got a budget, cool, let's go and let's get some win-loss analysis. And what you get in win-loss analysis is feedback from people who bought your product, didn't buy your product, bought someone else's product, who are taking time out of their day to just give you a little bit of game and say, I really liked you guys, but had you just done this, it would have been a difference maker, right? Or I really like what you guys bring to the table, but priorities changed, and what we'll have to do is this. So when I said call me back in August, I meant it. I really want you guys to come back strong, and here's what
Right.
you can do to win the business differently. And we probably collected about 20 of those in about 20 days. Once we turned the system on, we actually went retro and said any deal that closed over this time frame. Pulling back that insight wasn't just like creeping on review sites. We asked specific questions about,
Right.
hey, what triggered your need for a thing? What role did you play in this process? We capture what we captured in Salesforce, but our buyers don't live in Salesforce. They don't
Mm,
even live in our sales processes.
right.
So being able to kind of get that voice of the buyer and the way that they talked about value was just a huge catalyst. And the other thing you could do when you build your messaging is to say, these are the win themes. So I'm going to highlight these as the elements of our messaging, even though we think our win themes are other things. No, we won because of the product. Well, not really. Like, here's the deal that we said we won because of product, but I have the interview here. It's transcribed, and you're telling us plain as day, you won because you're the easiest platform to use.
Right.
And because you're easy to use, we believe that our sellers will use it. And our biggest fear is that we buy a thing that our sellers don't use. And so that's why you won the deal. I don't even know what whiz bang feature is or does. Who told you that's why we bought it?
It's funny. I think that's that's such an awesome thing to do, bringing in the win reasons and helping that drive your messaging. And a challenge there, because when I interview with customers, a lot of times the thing that they love is the customer success, their
Yeah,
customer success manager, which is usually not like an initial hook, but it's something that customers, that's why they stay. And then easy to use, but everyone says they're easy to use.
everybody.
Yeah, it is these simple things. It's usually so simple, the reasons that we choose products.
Totally. Totally.
We try to overcomplicate it, but at
Well,
the
yeah,
end of
well,
the day,
we do in our personal lives. It's just like there's the reason you're either iPhone or Android, and
yep,
there's a reason people watch unboxing videos. They want to know what the experience is going to be before they buy the thing.
right.
There's a reason why free trials and product-led growth is so hot right now. I don't need someone to tell me things. Let me experience things and come to my own conclusion. And if you're easy to use, you'll be easy to use. I'll figure
Right.
it out and I'll buy more of it. But it becomes a catalyst on how you create and build your messaging to start outside in. And when you do that, you end up with just a wealth of knowledge about the buyer, and it also helps you win debates. It's the voice of the buyer. The customer literally said this on this day about this thing right here. And I know what Salesforce says, but that's us imposing our thing on the way that they said it. So I actually have so it just became a huge catalyst. We used Tech Validate, one of my favorite platforms. And so the ability to go out and survey customers and have them tell you things, but say, hey, but Emma, don't use my name though. I can't let you use
Yeah.
my name, but I'm real. I promise you, I'm a real person. Gartner Peer Insights has that. We don't know who the customer is, but we know the industry, we know the vertical, and we know that what they said is real, and we know our competitor didn't say it. So it's just been a catalyst to get their voice into our messaging and kind of reverberate what the market sees when they look for tools, which is the voices of other customers.
Jarod, you must be a nightmare if I'm a team member trying to say my subjective opinion. You're like, nope, this customer on X
No,
day. You're like, no.
no, no. It's a point of view. It's a point of
I'm
view, right?
joking.
And I know, but we totally like we did it. The other kind of I say lesson learned is you cannot create messaging in a silo. You
No,
cannot go into a room and create it and then come back and say, I got it, it's here, and have people expect to use it. Well, where'd this come from? It was very
exactly.
much a running check-in of almost every 2 weeks in front of our go-to-market leadership team, sitting with the founder early to say, hey, I'm gonna start playing with the messaging. I know it's near and dear to your heart, but like, here are the tweaks I want to make. Here are the ways in which I think we can quantify the value we provide. Here's the proof I'm going to go get. You're with me every step of the way, and you're bringing people with you. Hey, sales leader, hey, what was the best meeting you had last year? And like, what were some of the themes in that? And what's great is now you just can listen to the gong call. You can actually see what slides and see what messages and what hooks and what objections hit. So you bring people along with you. I think in the past, I'd be more prone to just, I'm going to write it and I'm going to use these, $1,000 words and it's going to be so clean because I'm going to research it and have all these stuff. Nobody talks like that, or people don't feel like they were part of the process. So people don't feel like what you've done vibes, gels with the way that they communicate value.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember working with a client and had all the go-to-market, different teams, leaders around the table. And we came forward with kind of what we had arrived at. We had thrashed through things and through all the research, et cetera. And the VP of sales is like, I have to read it and it has to sound normal coming out of my mouth, and he read it, the value
Yep.
proposition. He's like, yeah, no, this sounds like something our AEs would say. Like, this sounds right. And it was that gut check. It was
Yeah.
a sales driven organization. It's like, hey, if I can't say this, my team
Right.
can't say this, it's not happening. And I was
It's
like,
not gonna happen.
you know,
It's not gonna happen. It's just not. And you can get buy-in from certain level. Oh yeah, it's cool. Got it. Right. And then you show up to that sales meeting. It's just like you have
where'd you get that messaging?
yeah, you have a pitch deck from 1986. Like, where did that come? How does this even work? And that was one of the reasons I wanted to work at Highspot. Like, that's what we help customers solve for, is keeping the content and the message on brand and clean it on the same page. But I say that to say that's the thing that allows you to understand, okay, well, why do you love that message so much? What's there about it that's simple? Gerard, I really like this diagram because it shows how we connect this and this. And I like building this to show, and this is how I landed in the meeting. And what you might look at as like off brand and ugly is the most compelling thing to them because they're confident in it when they're in front of a customer. And if they're confident in a message, whether it's yours or theirs, they're going to win more deals. And so you coming in and saying, no, you got to say it this way. It's like, I'm not doing that. I've made clubs 6 years in a row. I'm not changing a thing. So you got to make, so it's different. It's different when you work with those folks.
Yeah. No, that is so good. I love it. All right, cool. Okay, Jarod, I know you're going to give me a good answer for this. I want to know, if you had the power to banish one word from product marketing for all time, what would it be?
Snackable content. This needs to go. I don't want to hear about snackable content ever again. I get what we're trying to say. We're trying to say, the opposite of long form content, but we don't eat content. Content's not tasty. I don't want to use snackable content anymore. And I also want product marketers to rise up and recognize that you are more than content. You bring so much more to the table than just a brochure or a pitch deck. You bring strategy, you bring insight, you bring analytics, you bring a point of view. And so I think anyone listening who feels like, oh, all I do is churn out this content and hope someone reads it, you're more than that. There's a whole world of pricing and packaging and value you need to ascertain. There's a whole world of customer adoption and product launch and compete position. There's so much. And so like content, yes, manifest all those great thoughts and ideas and insights, but it has to be content and context, and it has to be content that inspires confidence. So yeah, I want to get rid of just content for content's sake, specifically snackable. It's gotta go.
So good. I don't think anyone is going to fight you on getting rid of snackable content.
I hope not. I hope not. Might be someone in like core corporate marketing, but like I don't think I'm in product marketing with the data.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. No, that's so good. Awesome. This has been such a good chat. I
Yeah.
know we'd have fun talking, so I'm
Yeah.
glad that we were able to do this.
I'm glad as well.